Greetings and welcome to the weekly edition of the Safe Crypto Show. I'm your host, Tyler Jordan, with co-hosts Mike and Jason. Each episode attempts to cover a range of topics, beginning with a roundup of the top cryptos of the week. Next, a discussion of general crypto news and happenings, and then we consider new and interesting projects and ICOs. All followed by a brief discussion of the weekly tech update by MAIDSAFE. Let's get started with the show. Safe Crypto Show disclaimer. Please keep in mind at all times that we, the hosts and guests of the Safe Crypto Show, are not offering or giving investment advice. We only state our personal opinions and thoughts on our own interests. By watching, you agree to not hold us responsible for any losses you may incur by executing trades or by maintaining holds based upon the subjects discussed in our episodes. It is Friday, the 26th of January, 2018. Today I'm joined by my co-hosts Mike and Jason. Welcome, Mike and Jason. Thanks for joining the show.
How's it going?
Thanks for having me.
So today on the show, we're going to do the top 5 report. Then the Bitcoin Lightning Network is up and running, so we've got some news on that. South Korea to tax crypto exchanges at over 24%, and they've created a task force to oversee exchanges. And our crypto focus this week is on EOS and their new VC partnership, and lastly, the weekly MAIDSAFE update. So onward with the show, and the first topic, the weekly review of the top 5 cryptos for the week. So Bitcoin still at number 1. Don't know how it's doing it. Should be number 20 or 30 by now, I reckon. Still got a 34.5% dominance of the market. Just going to open the chart up here. Have a look and see what they're doing. 7-day. There you go. So
That's pretty flat.
Pretty flat.
Didn't it hit like, it had like a moment of below 10K, if I remember right?
Yeah, so it looks,
very brief moment.
Looks like the high for the week was around 13,000.
The internet's changing, and there is a wave of new technologies entering the market,
all the way down
but most fail to provide the levels of privacy and security we should expect.
10,129.
The current internet relies on centralized
That's what I see as
servers
well.
owned
So,
by
yeah,
a few
129.7.
large and powerful organizations to host your
Last
data.
week was very
These
flat and
central
sideways,
points
and this week
act as honeypots
didn't
for
disappoint.
hackers
It's
and
the same.
advertisers trying to monetize your data.
I find less
Decentralization
reason to be
offers a
excited about
solution to
Bitcoin.
this problem. Data is split up
I've
and
lost my
hosted on
excitement as
unused
well once I
capacity
read
of
the
users'
article about what
devices.
the Lightning Network
A
does,
network
but
is created
that's
as
further
these
down in the
devices
show.
are linked
Yeah,
together
we've got
without
that.
central
Got
servers.
that to look forward to in the
However,
news
many
today. Maybe it will help
decentralized
with
services are built on
with the prices
blockchains,
coming week.
which are an
I don't
amazing
know.
design for public
The volume
ledgers,
overall,
but terrible mass
24-hour
storage
volume for
containers.
the week
Storing data
is
directly on the
trending
blockchain
lower.
is prohibitively
It's slowly
expensive
trending
and
lower, it
provides
seems
poor
like.
read-write performance.
So-
Subsequently,
right, well,
blockchain-based storage
just jump on
solutions
ahead to number
store
2,
a data
Ethereum.
identifier, such as a hash, in a blockchain,
Pull up the
but
chart
store
there.
the data somewhere else, and this somewhere else still needs to
7
be secured.
days.
We should be trying to secure the data,
Wow,
not
someone
the
is
pointer
just
to it. It
Activity
is
day.
time for a solution that secures both the
been,
data and the ledger.
More or less flat.
This
It's
is the
range
Safe
bound
Network,
as well.
the world's
Yeah.
first
923,
and
I
only
think
autonomous
that's
data
about as
network.
little.
An autonomous
Range bound,
network
but it
is
is
not
up
a
for the
set
week.
of servers or own storage locations
Yep.
or identifiable
Got up to
nodes.
11.6
It is a
and down to
self-healing,
923 like Jason
self-configuring,
said.
and self-managing system. Similar to a
Volume
colony of ants, there is
down
no
for the week
centralized
overall, but
authority,
it's
and
been-
yet it's highly optimized
Went
and
lower and come
effective.
back up a bit.
Comparative to blockchain mining, which uses
Ethereum
proof-of-work
people,
algorithms,
it's
the
still going to
Safe
be an
network
active
operates on a
thing with all the
proof-of-resource
ICOs
farming
going
system.
on, and
Users
you know,
are paid
until
for the quantity and quality of
a real
storage
competitor
capacity
emerges
they provide to the
to
network.
start
Time for
sucking
a
up
truly
some of the ICO
decentralized,
space.
autonomous internet
Maybe that'll be
dedicated
Cardano
to the security
in the short run.
of your data.
I don't know
Join the
actually when
Safe
they're going
Forum
to be fully
community to
releasing their
find out more.
platform, but EOS, of course, looks to be the killer in that space. So we'll see what happens. But EOS has a long way to go before it's released.
It looks like we got 15 new cryptos this week, so
Yep.
got a lot of new upcomers on the block.
There
Yep.
are. Number 3, Ripple. Hanging in there at number 3. 7-day chart. Wow, look at the volume fall off on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Such a radical volume shifting. I'm going to just go to the 1 month and have a look at the volume there. You just see it go in these peaks and troughs, peaks and troughs. It just classically looks like a pump and dump thing going on with Ripple. Overall, how many people are actually using the Ripple token? It seems like very few. Which to me, it just begs as to its use case and what it has the value that it does. I don't get it. I never have got Ripple. I never. Yep. Down pretty strong for the week.
Yeah, it's not at 388 like it used to be once
upon
a time.
Of course, you never know. I mean, with Ripple, it could be back up to double its value in another week. It just. What can you say about that? I don't know.
Well, if a few more banks jump in, I mean, it could cause a rush.
It could. Or, old Jed over there at Stellar might just decide to sell off a lot more or pump it up again, or who knows what he might do. Probably shouldn't say that. Probably sue me for... I don't know. I don't know if that's true. He might not have done anything. Might have just been, one of those weird things, but
market fluctuations.
Some people seem to think
market fluctuations.
He was involved. Who knows? So Bitcoin Cash number 4, pretty stable at number 4, I guess.
Down a little bit over the week, but yeah, fairly stable.
Like Bitcoin.
Of course, the overall market cap though for this past week has been around between 5 and 550.
Yeah. It doesn't seem to be, a whole lot of activity as of the past couple weeks.
No.
It's trying to
sell off.
The 300 billion sell off, yeah.
Yeah, interestingly, I didn't put it in the news this week, but Stripe has dropped its payment support for Bitcoin now. There are still other payment processors that accept Bitcoin. I used one of them this week, actually, but Stripe, which is one of the major payment processors on the internet, has dropped Bitcoin. They are talking about other altcoins as alternatives, but they haven't put one in yet. So for the moment, Bitcoin is losing its luster. That's all I gotta say about that. And it's odd that they've dropped it just now when the Lightning Network is coming into focus. I mean, they did mention that maybe they'll add it back again, but it's interesting. I find it really interesting.
With the transaction fees on Bitcoin as high as they are, it's pretty much rendered itself irrelevant for doing smaller transactions, which I think are going to be the core of most of the crypto transactions. When you really think about it, you're going to, if you can transfer up to, 10 or 20 US dollars worth of crypto, you take care of a good chunk of transactions that are done around the world. If you can get like anywhere up to $50 to $100 on a transaction fairly easily and cheaply, then it's going to go and be of great use as long as it's cheap.
Well, Bitcoin Cash seems to me to be the strongest alternative right now. I mean, it's got the highest market cap of a coin that really is capable of doing that kind of speed of transaction. So, I mean, below that, we've got Litecoin is probably the next best option, and then below that, probably Dash. But in terms of market cap, I mean, it's Bitcoin Cash. So, I mean, you could say Ripple, but again, I don't know. It doesn't seem like people actually use Ripple. I'm not sure why it has the high market cap.
I'd like to see something like like Ryblox with no fees whatsoever, and transaction times that are faster than a Visa MasterCard transaction.
Yeah.
I'd like to see something like that actually get some traction simply because it's an improvement.
Ryblox is down at number 22 this week. Actually, I think Stripe actually mentioned Omisa Go as well for some reason as an option. But I don't know why they would. It's at number 23, and it doesn't seem like... I mean, Ryblox seems like it would be a better choice technically. And Yeah, but I guess it is a little more untested in terms of its blockchain technology, which is a pretty radical shift from. But I mean, even Bitcoin isn't in 1.0 yet, so I mean, it's all kind of untested, really, in the grand scheme of things. So I don't know. Frankly, I think Dash is a good choice, but it's still number 12. Bitcoin Cash, though, should be the best choice. I'm surprised Stripe didn't just say, well, we're just going to switch over to Bitcoin Cash. I mean, that would have been an easy one to go with so many people holding Bitcoin Cash or owning some. It seems like a natural alternative because it's not going to doesn't have the fees that Bitcoin does. Well, not to drag this out any further, let's just get on to Cardano, number 5. Still hanging in there at number 5.
It's kind of had a little roller coaster.
Just going to the 7-day chart.
Pretty flat for the week as well.
Yep.
There's a couple days that you could have got in there and scooped some up at a discount, but
yep, it's got a bit of an up and down volume as well, but I mean, still better than Ripple. And it's not even touted as like a so much of a payment system. I believe it's a smart contract system like Ethereum, so and EOS. Oh yeah, it's doing well. I don't have anything to report on Cardano. I haven't read anything about it lately, so just move on to the news segment. So the first item we have today is, of course, the Bitcoin Lightning Network. So apparently the first ever physical purchase on the Lightning Network has occurred. It's Pizza Day, quote unquote Pizza Day. I'll just read the first paragraph here of the Cointelegraph article. The first ever physical transaction may have been completed on the Lightning Network 2 days ago, according to Reddit user, gives a link, who purchased a VPN router through a payment channel provided by TorGuard. The Lightning Network, designed to scale Bitcoin up for a global user base, functions by opening and recording a channel between two users on the blockchain, with information about transactions only being recorded on the original Bitcoin blockchain after the channel is closed. So they can have several trades on that channel before the trade closes, so that saves, having to record every single transaction on the blockchain. It just has a lot of transactions go through, and then the final settlement there is recorded, I suppose. So, yeah, it's got a little video there on the article. The link for that will be in the show notes. From what I understand, as of, I think, this morning or last night, the number of nodes using the Lightning Network is still pretty small, but now currently the current processing ability of the Lightning Network would allow for about around 30 to 40,000 US dollars worth of transactions at any given moment. Well, I'm not exactly sure what that means, but within any period of time that it can process through there. But I guess to use it, you have to actually be running or be using a node that is using the Lightning Network, so it's still very limited in terms of what it can do. I can't see that space is going to increase too quickly either. So it's not going to be radical change for Bitcoin. It's going to be a very slow process of integration, which could take many, many months, if not, over a year. So it's interesting technology. I recommend people look into it deeply and understand the consequences of it thoroughly, because it's tricky stuff, and it's really dissuaded me from wanting to be involved in Bitcoin. Frankly, I don't like where it's going, and I don't like some of the people who are behind it and their ideology. Anyway, not going to get into that. The next story. South Korea to tax crypto exchanges 24.2% in line with existing tax policy. So this is another Cointelegraph article. I actually look on a few news services, crypto news services, and I just end up picking ones from Cointelegraph somehow. I don't know if they've got the best news or it's just been like that so far. It was just kind of random, but anyway. So I'll just read the first paragraph here. So, local news agency Yonhap reports that South Korean government has announced Monday, January 22nd, that it will be collecting a 22% corporate tax and a 2.2% local income tax from the country's cryptocurrency exchanges. The tax announcement comes right after the conclusion of an unprecedented anti-money laundering probe into 6 major South Korean banks that showed a 36 times increase in commissions from virtual accounts linked to crypto exchanges, from 61 million won, that's South Korean currency, the won, in 2016, to 2.2 billion won in 2017. Now, to me, that doesn't sound suspicious because there has been just a huge number of increase in the volume of transactions during that time. I don't see why it's... I guess they're just worried they're not going to get their cuts, and so they're getting in there. Yonhap reports that South Korean exchange BitThumb made 317.6 billion won. That's approximately $300 million last year in total. So is expected to pay about 60 million won in taxes, according to the tax percentages announced Monday. Well, it doesn't seem like, it's that big of a deal. I mean, presumably these exchanges were going to be paying their taxes anyway, but it looks to me like they're just going to be watching them more closely now to make sure that they do. I mean, why wouldn't they be taxing the crypto exchanges? They're corporations, so I'm a bit unclear about this. It seems like, is it just the government saying things to try to put a little more fear into the market? Could be. Or it could be they're worried that the exchanges actually are not reporting their income.
It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. Once they get the regulations up and running, it'll be interesting to see, how the exchanges adapt to the new regulations and whether the people who have been thrust to the side with the scare tactics and stuff, if they come back in and see what happens when the South Korean $300 billion comes back in. It'll be interesting to see where it ends up.
Yeah.
If the money, drops the market $300 billion when it leaves, it'll be interesting to see what happens when it comes back. If it comes back the same or if it comes back more fiercely. So.
Our next news item is just in line with that. South Korea intelligence creates task force to oversee local cryptocurrency exchanges. Also a Cointelegraph article. South Korean financial authorities, in cooperation with Korea Financial Intelligence Unit, the KFIU, must be a government agency, created a task force to oversee cryptocurrency exchanges and to ensure cryptocurrency businesses are compliant with existing regulations. Authorities announced this on January 25th. It will collaborate with local cryptocurrency exchanges to ensure that money laundering and fraudulent activities using cryptocurrencies do not occur in the local market. Local financial authorities will also require 6 major South Korean banks that have decided to support cryptocurrency exchanges to report to KFIU if suspicious activities are unraveled. Unraveled or revealed. Local banks, including Shinhan Bank, Nong Huyup, IKB, Woori Bank, are expected to file regular reports to the KFIU on suspicious trading and prevent financial crimes. Not unsurprising at all. It sounds to me like they're going the regulatory route and they're not going to actually be banning exchanges. So this should, I think, in the pretty short run, start bringing more South Koreans back into the market. If they've been on the sidelines waiting for a little guidance from the government on what they're going to do. It looks like they've made their play. Well, that's all I have for the news this week. Hasn't been a really exciting week in terms of news. On to the next segment then. Just going to talk about the EOS agreement with Novogratz's Galaxy Digital Group. They're a VC group, and so what's happened here is EOS at a conference this week, and they announced that pretty much the bulk of their ICO fundraising, which is about 1.1 billion that they've raised so far, is going to be put into a fund, and that fund will be connected up with different VCs. They've only got one announced now. This is Mike Novogratz's Galaxy Digital Group. And the VCs will basically vet projects and facilitate projects, as VCs do. But specifically, if the project is willing or able to use the EOS platform, then they will get funding from the EOS IO fund. So I frankly find this to be huge news for EOS, because we've been wondering for a long time what they were going to do with that hoard of cash, and were they going to be buying a palace somewhere and sitting on the beach? No, they're actually reinvesting it. It's important to understand what this means. This isn't just like money they're donating. This is an investment fund. So companies that are successful in launching their service or product on the EOS network will make a return, and will be returning capital back to the fund. And this fund effectively is going to continue on in perpetuity, I would assume. Possibly EOS itself, or the company behind EOS, which is called Block One, will reap a reward as well. So, given how profitable ICOs have been this past year, and probably for the foreseeable next few years at least, this could be really huge for EOS in terms of not merely in terms of attracting projects to the EOS blockchain and the EOS platform, which all by itself is huge, because we're not talking a small amount of money here, are we? This is, if EOS ends up putting $1 billion into this, that's $1,000 million. Think about that. How many projects, big projects, are going to be brought into this space with that kind of funding? I mean, it's just enormous. It's gonna be a big sucking sound as well. I'm actually concerned, because being a big MAIDSAFE supporter, I want to see more developers working on the MAIDSAFE platform, trying to develop apps for MAIDSAFE. But with things like this happening, with what EOS is doing, and the amount of cash that they have, it's going to suck developers away from every quarter. It's going to suck them away from Ethereum. It's going to suck them away from Cardano. This is why this is such a huge deal, because it's not merely profit potential for Block One, the company behind EOS. It's going to pull a lot of talent into the EOS ecosystem. I didn't read the opening paragraph here. I'm just going to do that now. It's interesting. They say right at the beginning of this, not for dissemination in the United States or for distribution to U.S. newswire services. So I got to say,
I thought that was interesting.
If you're in the United States, you have to turn this video off now.
This information is not for you.
It's not for you, no.
Hey, wait a second. I remember that comment.
Yes. Block One, the developer behind the leading blockchain software EOS.io and Galaxy Digital LP, quote, Galaxy Digital, a full-service digital assets merchant bank, today announced the formation and capitalization of a joint venture that is focused on developing the EOS.io ecosystem and making strategic investments in projects to utilize EOS.io blockchain software. As part of the new relationship, Block One and Galaxy Digital will deploy capital for future investments through through the capitalization of a new $325 million EOS.io fund. It goes on. The link will be in the show notes. But I just can't get over this. It's mind-blowing, and I'm really concerned for other projects in the space, particularly MAIDSAFE. And I worry how they're going to fare down the track with so much talent being sucked into this vacuum cleaner called EOS. Financial vacuum cleaner. Financial black holes sucking everything in. I mean, we need so many more developers. You guys have any thoughts on this?
Yep. Money usually talks, right?
It does. So. It does. Yes. Even if it's not the best.
That large, piles of money that large talk very loudly. So.
They do. I love MAIDSAFE for its great innovation and where it's going, and I want to see it. I want to see it grow and expand and reach the position and get so many more people involved. The freedom that MAIDSAFE is offering through their SafeNet project is vast, and I'm going to be using it no matter what. I mean, there's just hands down, there's nothing that's going to be better than what they've got under development. But I can see, most people still aren't very concerned about privacy. They're still not that concerned about the stability of their data. And I mean, EOS isn't going. They're not a data securing kind of platform. They're much like Ethereum. They're just dealing with the speed issue. The scalability. So, but given what they're doing, they're going to have so many app developers and so many projects happening there that it's going to. I just see them supplanting everything and moving right to the top. Well, I mean, MAIDSAFE's got probably a couple years yet. I'm not sure, but I would say at least a year, between a year and 2 years before they're into beta. And EOS is probably going to be coming into beta within 6 to 12 months. So EOS is going to have a large head start, and they're going to have a lot of developers. I don't know. It's a bit scary and frustrating. Not scary, frustrating. It's frustrating for me, I suppose. I'm not going to be, financially hurt by it because I've got investments in both EOS and MAIDSAFE personally. And seeing this, I'm probably going to put more money into EOS. I would be foolish not to, really, to be honest. I don't see how they can lose at this point.
This isn't investment advice.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying what I'm doing. What you want to do with your money as a listener to my show, to this show, to our show, is your responsibility, and nothing to do with us.
But wink, wink. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, unless you guys have anything else to add about that, I guess we'll go on to the last segment. No. Okay. Topic number 4, the MAIDSAFE update. So last week, I mentioned MAIDSAFE's new video, and I said I would play it, and then I promptly became distracted because I'm old and addled in the brain, and I didn't play it. So I'm just going to play that now because it's a nice video, and yep, people need to see it, I think.
The internet's changing, and there is a wave of new technologies entering the market, but most fail to provide the levels of privacy and security we should expect. The current internet relies on centralized servers, owned by a few large and powerful organizations to host your data. These central points act as honeypots for hackers and advertisers trying to monetize your data. Decentralization offers a solution to this problem. Data is split up and hosted on unused capacity of users' devices. A network is created as these devices are linked together without central servers. However, many decentralized services are built on blockchains, which are an amazing design for public ledgers, but terrible mass storage containers. Storing data directly on the blockchain is prohibitively expensive and provides poor read-write performance. Subsequently, blockchain-based storage solutions store a data identifier, such as a hash, in a blockchain, but store the data somewhere else, and this somewhere else still needs to be secured. We should be trying to secure the data, not the pointer to it. It is time for a solution that secures both the data and the ledger. This is the SAFE network, the world's first and only autonomous data network. An autonomous network is not a set of servers, or own storage locations, or identifiable nodes. It is a self-healing, self-configuring, and self-managing system. Similar to a colony of ants, there is no centralized authority, and yet it's highly optimized and effective. Comparative to blockchain mining, which uses proof-of-work algorithms, the SAFE network operates on a proof-of-resource farming system. Users are paid for the quantity and quality of storage capacity they provide to the network. Time for a truly decentralized, autonomous internet dedicated to the security of your data. Join the SAFE Forum community to find out more.
SafeNet. So the next thing is just going to go through the highlights of the update this week. So the Safe Network primer is now available for MAIDSAFE from the website. There's a link to that in the show notes. And please read it and share it widely. Indeed. The new MAIDSAFE office in India is now open, and they are currently looking to expand their team in that location. They're looking for JavaScript UI developers, UI designers, Android developers, and .NET developers. They've got a new person, Nadia Burburo, may be saying the name wrong, Burburo, is joining the Air office as a technical executive assistant starting Friday. Support for streaming files using HTTP range header is being added to the Peruse browser. A new version of the Peruse browser containing this feature will likely be released very soon. Today they're publishing new versions of Safe Client libs. So that's different files. I'm not going to get into the technical stuff on the show, but please, if you're interested in the technicals, the link to the update will be in the show notes for their forum post on the update. The routing milestones for Alpha 3 have been published. I'm going to go through that very quickly here in a moment. In coming days, the routing team will detail the first of these and commence with the tasks, which will also be added to Jira. And 7 UTP is now working reliably in Crust. Also, Crust will soon have fully encrypted communications. So, I'm going to just go through because they've released their milestones for Alpha 3. Number 1, they've got incorporate data chain into the code. Oh, this is milestone number 1. Step 1, incorporate data chain into the code. Number 2, implement peer aging. 3, implement logic to handle peers being added. 4, update mock crust test to validate. Milestone 2, implement peer relocation. Step 2, update mock crust test to validate this. And milestone 3, implement split logic and update mock crust test to validate. Milestone 4, implement secure message transfer and update mock crust test to validate. Milestone 5, implement logic to handle peers dropping, update mock crust test to validate. And milestone 6, implement merge logic and update mock crust test to validate. So at each milestone they're implementing tests. They're not just releasing things into the wild for people to test alone. They've got the whole testing suite they've developed to validate that their whole system works. They're being really thorough with everything. And part of the reason is because they do secure data. They're not just securing hashes to point to unsecured data somewhere like all these other solutions offer. Blockchain solutions are offering. So because they're securing data, they want to make sure that everything is going to be solid before it's actually released into beta, because they're promising to secure data, and that's, you don't want to be posting secure data on an insecure network. Well, For technical details on the update this week, and for greater detail with all of this week's update, please go to this is a continuation of the MAIDSAFE update. For all of this week's update, please go to the SafeNet forum and see link in the show notes. Do you, Jason or Mike, have any last things to add for this week? Any thoughts?
Pretty interesting news on EOS, and
yeah,
good information on that. So that definitely puts a different spin on my thoughts on what that originally was and what they're going to be.
Me
in
too.
the near future, it looks like.
Yep, I'm same way.
I didn't know what they were doing with that money. I thought they were just gonna, go buy a little castle on a beach somewhere and sip pina coladas for the rest of their lives. But no, it seems like they're
Sitting
actually
on a beach.
they've got some serious investment plans, and I think it's brilliant. I think I couldn't have imagined something this good as a plan going forward for EOS. I'm frustrated with it because I see it as a big problem for alternatives like MAIDSAFE. It's going to pull a lot of talent away, but on the other hand, I guess the positive here, I don't want to be so negative on it, but I guess the positive is that it's going to bring more developers and tech into the space overall, and that in turn will lead to people seeing the limitations and strengths of the space, and in the long run it will bring more talent to SafeNet in the long run. So
it also gives some competition. It also gives some competition to Ethereum as the platform. If EOS has the ability to fund some of the projects that are built on its platform and turns EOS into a viable platform similar in a lot of respects to Ethereum. I don't know if EOS and Ethereum are the same as far as for the smart contracts and everything else. I think it is.
Precisely the same, yeah. EOS is actually building on that in other ways too. There's Ethereum uses Solidity as its underlying language, and there are some advantages and limitations to that, and EOS is bringing in other languages, so you'll be able to code with I think more than one language, but in a more robust way as well. So it's opening the door to I think they're allowing for C++ even. So it's going to open the door for developers who are C++ has the most developers, I think, hands down. So it's really going to open the door for a lot of other coders to come in and start getting involved. Not that a C++ developer couldn't code in Solidity. I don't think they're that different, but if they don't know what it is, then they don't know what it is. So,
but EOS is on the Ethereum platform overall, though. That's, I think.
EOS.
That's
the EOS token is being sold through the Ethereum platform. Once the EOS platform goes live, then I'm not sure if they'll move it over through a burn system or if they'll just keep it on Ethereum. I don't know. I don't know what their plan is there. Maybe there isn't one at the moment, but we'll find out. That's not really very critical. Ethereum's not going away. It's I just see that it's at its limit, and they are working on different techniques to improve it with their sharding ideas, and they will eventually improve it. But EOS is going to come in like a storm, and I think they're really going to start to dominate the space. So I think the best Ethereum can hope for in the medium term is to just work on getting their platform better and eventually be able to again compete. I may be overstating what the situation is, but that's how I feel about it at the moment. Well, folks, thanks for joining us today. I'd like to thank both our viewers and my co-hosts for coming and listening. We hope you found the episode informative and helpful. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share our video with others, and tune in next week for another interesting episode. Thanks, Mike. Jason?
Have a good one, everyone.
Have a good one.